gonna pull all these studs out. Oop, sorry, buddy. Got whacked in the face. Oh, you got whacked in the face, buddy. Oh. Come here. I'm gonna get your booty out of the way. I don't have any gasket remover, but I do have this adhesive remover, so we'll see if this works. It smells lovely. Long studs go here along the passenger side axle tube. Two medium studs about that long, and these go right about here, so you have to skip a hole. So you have your long stud, short stud, and medium stud goes here. And that's for both top and bottom. Got all the studs in, case is cleaned out. Okay, we're gonna apply a little bit of sealant on the gasket just for good practice here. Not too much, but don't want any leaks. And I am gonna apply a little bit of sealant around this opening here for the actuator. Okay. Okay. So we are plugged in, actuators plugged in, indicator switch plugged in, and our breather tube. It's a little tiny breather tube for the motor. It's plugged in. We're going to add a couple zip ties to this harness. Time to install the drive line back on. So this area here, the nice clean area there, the little shiny ring there, is where the seal actually rides. So we're gonna get all the grease off past that point. So there we go, we got it. Got it. The next step is to fill up this cavity about 3/4 of the way full of grease, specifically CV type of grease. This is what I use. It's a lithium high performance CV type of grease. It's called 101 Moly. It's a very good grease made by Swepco. And we're gonna go ahead and try not to make a mess here. And the easiest way to fill that up is just to kind of flatten out the tube here, and it beats pumping this grease into the port. It just takes forever. So I found that this is the best way to do it. We're gonna just try to squeeze the whole tube in there. There we got. Alright, so we'll get the remainder through the port on top. You're ready to install our spindle back on. You want to make sure that the surface area on both your spindle and your knuckle is free of grease and any old gasket material. And this is our gasket we're going to be using. You want to place this groove here or notch towards the bottom. Just like that. Then we have another gasket. It's going to get sandwiched between your spindle and your outer dust seal. And we're going to get one bolt started here. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and torque these down to 34 foot-pounds. Next step is to apply some lithium grease on the spindle. Go ahead and coat the rubber seal. So I decided to go ahead and just keep the seal and bearing intact. On this end I didn't get much water intrusion. Bearing looks good, it's still packed. So I just kind of cleaned off the surface a little bit off the inner bearing there, and recoated the seal with fresh grease. The inside is still packed full of grease. So we're gonna slide this assembly on. So I went ahead and cleaned the outer bearing, hub bearing. So we got all that rusty colored grease and water out of there. Just keep working it until you start seeing that grease squeeze through. Just like that. So that's a packed bearing. We're getting ready to install our spindle nut, and I did want to point out that I am running an aftermarket kit. So this is pretty much what it looks like. I can't remember who I bought it from, but it's got 6 holes machined into it, and these are threaded to accept 2 of these locking little bolts, and the washer is machined as well. It's got all these little holes which help you line up the holes on the spindle nut to the washer. This washer's also got a tab that actually slides into the spindle groove on top, and that pretty much will lock your nut in place and keep it from backing off. So next step is to install our thrust washer. There's a tab here, and that slides along the groove on top of your spindle. Then your spindle nut. Okay, we're going to torque down the spindle nut to 43 foot-pounds of torque. We'll go both counterclockwise and clockwise a few times. Help seat the bearings. After you torque your spindle nut to 43 foot-pounds, go ahead and back off your spindle nut to where it's loose by hand, and from that point on, go ahead and start retightening up the spindle nut a little at a time until you reach a tension. So this is what you call a tension gauge. The FSM calls for anywhere between 6 and 12.7 amount of tension. So after each quarter turn, you want to go ahead and apply your gauge onto one of your studs, and just pull on your gauge, as so, and that'll give you a reading. So right now we're reading at right around 8 on the tension gauge. So we are within specifications and we are good. To lock that washer in place.
back off once I start getting a little flex off the Allen key. And that should be good enough to install our gasket here. Then our main hub body assembly. Gotta line up the splines there. And there we go. So the next step is to install 6 of these small little cone type washers. And what I do is I usually give these a light coating of grease. It just helps for any future hub service on removal. Next step is to install our clip. Guys, next step is to torque down these 6 studs to 26 foot-pounds. We're going to install a new gasket on there. Like that. Blue Loctite on these fasteners. Try not to over time these. Alright, so now we're going to make sure we take any residual grease off this rotor. Now we're ready to install our brake caliper. Alright guys, so we are pretty much done with the driver's side. We're looking good. Preload feels good. We're fully assembled. Calipers back in place. So we're going to go ahead and finish up the passenger side. Guys, we are on the final stretch here. We're going to go ahead and put this lower plug back in, drain plug. To fill her up. I don't think I have enough. Oh. Might have to go down to the store and get more. 75.90. Okay guys, we're in the truck. We got Dusty running, and we're gonna go ahead and put the truck in 4 low. We're going to go ahead and engage our center diff lock switch. So now we are a 4-wheel drive. Okay, let's put the drivetrain in first low. Okay, right now we're actually open as far as differentials go. See, only got one end turning. Open diff. Drive line's going. Yeah, lock the hubs. So let's put it in park. Now we'll go to park. Let's go ahead and lock the hubs. Lock. I'm gonna go into first low. All right. Okay. Looks good. Open diff. Typically with an open diff, it's really 4x2. So we're going to go into neutral. Engage the lock. To rear lock. We got a flashing light there on the dash. That means it's actually in ready mode, and we're going to help it along by trying to line up some of those splines with that coupler. And there we go. Once you see that light come on solid, that means we're engaged in the lock position for the rear. There we go. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and lock the front. So we're going to go ahead and put the truck back in neutral. The selector switch, go to front, lock it. We are flashing for the front. It's in ready mode. So we're going to go and, oh, there it goes, it locked in. So we are fully locked up front. Let's go take a look. We're good. So everything seems to be working good, and yeah, really stoked. So what I'm gonna do next is get the truck back on all 4 wheels and take it out for a test drive out to our local spot out here. So I got one more project coming up, but we'll probably have to wait on that. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for joining along on this journey. It's been quite interesting, and everything seems to be good. I do have to top off the front axle, kind of low on fluid, so I gotta go run down to O'Reilly's and pick up some 75/90 weight gear oil. Other than that, we're good. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. We're gonna go take this truck out for a nice test. So catch you guys on the next one.